I wasn't reading it for him, and we don't even tend to read each other's projects that much, to be honest. Not that we're not interested, we just kind of don't want to step on each other's toes. But he was sent it as a sort of spec script, and he pitched me the one line. I was like, you need to direct that movie. That's an amazing movie. But I just had a baby. I was ready to do Mary Poppins. I wasn't sort of in the mindset of like doing another movie. And so then he rewrote it, and I read it on a plane, and I kind of like walked over to his seat on the airplane. I was like, this part to me. I was like, I want to play it. And he was really excited, actually. I was pleasantly surprised by how pleased he was that I wanted to do it. I always try and create some kind of inner life for the character and some backstory that I don't necessarily share with anybody, but it's just for me. And I think John and I, being a couple in real life, we have this sort of memory bank of experiences that we've been through as parents, and what we feel about our children inevitably was going to sort of translate onto the screen in some ways. But you know, I think as much as possible we try to shoot in sequence as well. So that helps you with the through line of what you're bringing to every scene. And it was a beautifully mapped out script. And then within the scenes, we'd sort of stretch them around to see what would be the most effective way of scaring people or moving people, or, you know. Because this family suffers a great loss in the beginning, there's a kind of coping mechanism that goes with that. And also, even if they didn't necessarily plan for it, this is where they are, this is where they're at. And what I love is her sort of defiance to live and just keep creating life, and like, damn it, she's gonna have that baby and keep her voice down. You know, I think that that's what I like about the character. There's a kind of ferocity to her that, and the determination to keep creating life amidst this hell. Really warm, nurturing. They are everything to her. Their safety, their happiness is paramount to her. She's a very, very nurturing character. We lucked out, I have to say, massively with those kids. They are just extraordinary people and so professional, such old souls, and so easy to love, you know, to be honest. They're just wonderfully sweet, loving people. And we would invite them all over to our house. We'd have barbecues and pool parties, and we'd invite all of their families because I wanted to see how they interact with their mothers and with their fathers, and so that they really felt that it was inclusive. It wasn't like me and John and like these kids, you know, it was like we were a family. I think ultimately if you have a kind of confidence with each other and a comfort with each other, whether it's emotional or physical comfort with each other, then that is really important for these scenes and a film that essentially really is about family. As much as it's terrifying, it's a metaphor for parenthood. It's a metaphor for the dread that we all have. The idea of not being able to protect your kids from a brutal environment. I mean, Quiet Place is the exaggerated version of that, but that's ultimately what John wanted to make, is a film about family. It was an odd scene to shoot because we'd been working wordlessly, you know, and I think it's a really beautifully written scene, and actually that was pretty much like that was his first pass at it, and I read it and I went, do not change that scene, it's so beautiful. It's like, what would these two people say to each other when finally given the opportunity? And they've probably never discussed what happened in the beginning of the film. And so all of that comes out, and that line he wrote, which was like, who are we if we can't protect our children, is so what I feel about being a parent. And I like cried when I read that scene. I just was like, you can't change it. So it's really, as he wrote it, is how we did it. He is so detailed and he is so interested in the minutiae, because ultimately this film just needed to have great heart, and the heart is found in the details. And so yes, he has amazing set pieces that are smart and that pay off. So you've got the idea of how he's very, very smart, and he's able to kind of put things together at a sort of rapid fire speed of how he thinks something should look, and how he processes is very quick and very dynamic. But he is so interested in the small, he sweats the small stuff. And that's what I like in a director, is like, I want someone to sweat the small stuff and dig for the gold. And he knows how to do that.